प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवती अष्टादशाध्यायिनी अम्बा त्वामनुसन्ददामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणी नमोऽस्तु ते व्यासविशालबुद्धे पुल्लारविन्दायतपत्रनेत्र येन त्वया भारततैलपूर्णः प्रज्वालितो ज्ञानमयप्रदीपः प्रपन्नपारिजाताय स्तोत्रवेत्रैकपाणये ज्ञानमुद्राय कृष्णाय गीतामृतदुहे नमः। सर्वोपनिषदो गावो दोग्धा गोपालनन्दनः पार्थो वत्स सुधीर्भोक्ता दुग्धं गीतामृतं महत् वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं भीष्मद्रोणतटा जयद्रथजला गान्धारनीलोत्पला शल्याग्राहवती कृपेण वहनी कर्णेन वेलाकुला अश्वत्थामविकर्णघोरमकरा दुर्योधनावर्तिनी सोतीर्णा खलु पाण्डवैरननदी कैवर्तक केशवः पाराशर्यवचः सरोजममलम् गीतार्थगन्धोत्कटम् नानाख्यानककेसरम् हरिकथा सम्बोधना बोधितम् लोके सज्जन षट्पदैरहरः पेपीयमानं मुदा भूयाद् भारत पंकजं हरिमल प्रध्वांसिन श्रेयसे मूकं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवम् यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्त्वैः वेदैः साङ्गपदं क्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगा ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनो यस्यान्तं न विदुः सुरासुरगणाः देवाय तस्मै नमः। तं न विदुः सुरासुरगणाः
Good evening and a very warm welcome to you. I hope all the ladies have enjoyed a good Women's Day, and I can't think of a better or more powerful way to end this day. It is day 5 of our 7-day Gita Week discourses brought to you by the Life Mastery Foundation. I am Trusha Deodat, and it is my honor to introduce you to the founder of the Life Mastery Foundation, Shri M.K. Angajan. Angijanji started last night's discourse by taking us back in time to the now historic moment that Mahatma Gandhi endured as he boarded a train en route to work, an experience that displayed his mastery of emotions. With many COVID-19 restrictions still in place, I'm sure nobody is under the influence of alcohol, but how many of us are under the influence of our emotions? What does that even mean? We spend time strengthening our bodies, but did you know that if we don't strengthen our intellect, emotions take over, making us weak? Emotions that allow greed to become an aspiration and allow arrogance to become what is attained when we achieve success. If you missed this valuable discourse, The Power of Emotional Mastery, which is covered in chapter 2, verses 62 and 63 of the Bhagavad Gita, then be sure to watch it on this channel. Each day's discourse can be accessed for viewing and sharing. I will now hand you over to Shri M.K. Angajan.
Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Greetings and salutations to one and all of you. Today is our 5th day on this journey in understanding the vision of the Bhagavad Gita. Once, there was a lady, very affluent, richly dressed. She had everything that she wanted or one can aspire for. And she went up to her counselor, psychiatrist, and she said, externally, if you see, my life is really, really cool. I have everything. But I don't have the joy, happiness. I feel empty inside. What do I do? Externally, my life is so everything is going okay, whether it is health or wealth or family, everything. But I don't have the inner fulfillment. What do I do? And as she was talking to the counselor, the psychiatrist, it so happened the janitor lady, her name was Mary, happened to pass by. And the psychiatrist told the other rich lady, by the way, her name was Shanti. The only thing that he didn't have was Shanti inside, of course. And psychiatrist told Shanti, the affluent lady, that can I ask my assistant, janitor lady here, Mary, talk to you how she found happiness? Shanti said, yes, I like to hear anybody's suggestions. So the psychiatrist called Mary and said, please come over. And Mary kept all her cleaning utensils aside and came to the psychiatrist's room. And psychiatrist told Mary to talk to Shanti. And he told Shanti, please listen to what Mary had to say. And Mary started her story. She said, about 4 years ago, my husband died of cancer. We were poor. There was nothing that he could leave for my survival. We were literally hand to mouth. 3 months later, my only son died in a car accident, a nasty car accident. My life was terrible. I was devastated. I had no job. I had nothing to rely on. Emotionally, I was really, really upset. And that was my life. That was my condition. One day, as I was walking home on a cold winter afternoon, it was rainy. Closer to my house, as I reached, a little kitten followed me to the house. And as I opened the door, I entered the house, I saw right behind me the little kitten. A sense of sympathy overcame me, and I allowed the kitten inside my house. And I brought an ounce of milk and poured it in a small bowl and placed it in front of the kitten. And in no time, the hungry kitten licked it clean. First time, I experienced a sense of joy, a sense of peace, a sense of inner joy overpowered me. I experienced joy after many, many months. And then I reflected. If by giving little bit of milk to a hungry kitten, and of course, I dried the kitten, took care of the kitten. If by giving little bit of milk to a little hungry kitten can give me so much of inner joy, maybe I must do this more. So next day, I prepared some cookies and took it to one of my neighbors who were sick in the bed and gave it. Next day, I prepared some meal and I took to some of the destitute children. And from then on, every single day, I did something sacrificial, something unselfish to somebody. Today, here I am. I don't know anybody happier than me. I don't know anybody who sleeps better than I do. I found my peace. I found my contentment. I found my joy by giving happiness to some other people, others. Ladies and gentlemen, our happiness multiplies when you divide. Our happiness grows exponentially when we divide it and share it to the other people. It's an oxymoron. It's a strange phenomena, yet it is true. The truth is that the law of happiness is it multiplies when you divide and share it with the other people. If you want to be happy for 1 hour, take a nap. If you want to be happy for 1 day, go for a picnic. If you want to be happy for 1 week, go for a holiday. Take a break to the hill station nearby, Dragonsburg. If you want to be happy for 1 month, get married. If you don't believe, ask the people who got married. If you want to be happy for 1 year, inherit a fortune. But, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to be happy for a lifetime, give happiness to the other people. Develop an attitude of giving rather than an attitude of taking. A spirit of charitable disposition. When the spirit of giving prevails in your mind, that is the very moment we begin to experience joy, peace, and happiness and contentment. In everything that we do, whether at home you are cooking, when we cook, keep the consumer's pleasure in mind. The person who's going to eat food, keep their thought in mind. When you are shopping and you're paying money, how do we give money? What is the attitude with which we give money? We look at all the price, and knowing that all the price, even we part with money so grudgingly. But instead, even when you give money, wish happiness to the recipient, whether it is your employee, your gardener, or your domestic assistant, or you're giving money to anybody. Let, when you part with money, associate that parting of money with blessing and happiness to the recipient. But first of all, parting money itself is so difficult for many people. They cling on to it. But anyway, you have to pay to the supermarket or wherever you go. But when you part with it, maintain a spirit of joy, spirit of happiness. Wish happiness to the other people. That is why when we chant our invocations, that is what we chant. Sarvesham Shantir Bhavatu. Wish peace for everybody. Sarvesham Purnam Bhavatu. Wish success and blessings for everybody. Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu. Wish everybody's welfare. Sarve bhavantu sukhina. Let everybody be happy. It is not enough to chant when you pray. Bring the meanings of those prayers in our day-to-day life. In and through every activities, let a spirit of other people's happiness. When you're driving, we always want to be in front, giving the other person a chance, we don't lose much. In Sanskrit, there is a very important word that you know, and that word is dharma. Dharma, as I mentioned to you one of the other days, means nature. Dharma means duty. To define the word dharma, dharma is that which makes a thing what it is, without which it is not what it is. That which makes a thing what it is, without which it is not what it is. Dharma of honey is sweetness. Take away sweetness, honey ceases to exist. The dharma of winter is biting cold. Winter cannot be without cold. The dharma of a cow is to be meek and gentle, without which cow is no cow. Similarly, the dharma of a human being is to live a spirit of giving, spirit of dhanam in everything that we do. But today, in every activity, we have a spirit of taking. Yes, sometimes you have to take. Even when you take, it is a spirit of giving. Let us say somebody close to you, somebody nice to you, they come and give you something, maybe a gift. And when you receive, you may not need that gift. You may not need what the other person is giving, but in the process of accepting it, you are considering the other person's happiness. That person is happy because you're receiving it. Even when you receive a spirit of giving. So that is the dharma of a human being is to live a life of giving. Only, as I discussed earlier, only a human being can maintain the spirit of giving. No other creatures in this world can maintain a spirit of giving. They don't need to because they don't have a choice, but human beings need to. An attitude of giving, that is the dharma of a human being. The moment we deviate from that attitude, we cease to exist as a human being. We reduce ourselves to subhuman, which the Puranas calls rajasas, demons. They always take, accumulate, aggrandize. Now, what is the right type of charity that Bhagavad Gita expounds? A lot of people give, but how many genuinely, truly give? Giving is not simply giving what you have. That's not it. There has to be certain mental disposition associated with it. In the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 17, verses 20, 21, and 22, explains the three types of giving: grade A, grade B, grade C. From the philosophical point of view, from the Vedantic parlance, we call it Satwik giving, rajasik giving, and tamasic giving. So when you give, very carefully examine what kind of charity are you engaged in. We will together join us in chanting the three verses 20, 21, and 22 of chapter 17.
दातव्यमिति यद्दानं दीयतेनुपकारिणे देशे काले च पात्रे च तद्दानं सात्विकं स्मृतं यत्तु प्रत्युपकारार्थं फलम् उद्दिश्य वा पुनः दीयते च परिक्लिष्टं तद्दानं राजसंस्मृतम् अदेशकाले यद्दानम् अपात्रेभ्यश्च दीयते असत्कृतमवज्ञातं तत्तामसमुदाहृतम्.
The three types of giving, they are called Satwik giving, rajasik giving, and tamasic giving. So what is Satwik charity? He says, Datavyamiti yat dhanam, gift that which ought to be given, something that is obligatory to a recipient who does no service in return, of course. And in place and in time, that gift is considered Satwik, pure giving, pure charity. Something that ought to be given. Every one of us need to play the role of a charitable person. And without expecting anything in return to a recipient who does no service in return. And you must also consider at what circumstances. If you give wrong thing at the wrong time, the person can misuse it. So you got to understand the recipient. It has to be a deserving recipient and at the right time. Now, the world needs our service. There are a lot of people who are poor, who lost their job, poor people unemployed. Supposing you say, okay, I will give next year, once the COVID, everything is settled. No, that is untimely. The world needs it now. The people in the society needs it now, timely. And at a specific recipient, the person who's receiving it, that is Satwik giving. Then what is rajasic giving? That gift that is given only to receive in return or expecting a reward or a fruit, very reluctantly, is considered rajasic, the second grade. There are people you approach them for a donation or support for a higher cause. They will do it reluctantly. You got to go on and ask them time and again, are you going to do it? I mean, many of you who are involved in the community service and activities know what I'm talking about. You must have experience. They will promise, okay, I will do it. But then you really have to run after them for several months. Then there are people, they do it, they promise it, and they do the same thing without any reluctance. Before you realize their supporters in your organization's account. I'm sure you've experienced that. Satwik. The other one is do it so reluctantly. And they do it expecting in return. Whatever they do, they have a profit-mongering attitude. They want it to come back to them in many other ways. It could be in terms of recognition. There are a lot of people who do charity because they want to be recognized in the society. They want name and fame, and they want to be recognized amidst hundreds of people that this man has contributed so much so. And they also, the donor also want the name to be inscribed on the building, a bust to be installed because this person has donated. That is rajasic. Remember this. When we advertise our charity, it is an insult to the recipient. Advertising charity is an insult to recipient. And yet, you'll find a lot of people advertise their charity. Yes, you can advertise your charity with an intention to inspire the others to do the same thing. That is understandable. You can tell somebody, listen, this is a cause that is needed. I've done whatever I could, but maybe you should do it. Or you can tell a group of people with an intention to the other people. That's okay. But when we advertise charity with an intention for self-glory, personal glory, to show how rich you are, that is rajasik, says Bhagavan Krishna. And you do charity with the idea of recognition, your name to be inscribed. That is far from giving. That is only a business. People do that just to enhance their business, to show the government or show the tax department or whatever that they have done charity, but it is only business. That is rajasik, says Krishna. Once there were 3 devotees, and the 3 of them happened to be from 3 different religious groups. One was a Christian devotee, another one was a Muslim devotee, and the third one was a Hindu devotee. And all 3 of them were discussing charity. So the first one happened to be a Christian devotee, and the Hindu and the Muslim friend asked the Christian friend, hey, what kind of charity do you do? What do you do? And he said, well, I do every month regularly, but how much you do? Then he said, I don't really measure. What do you mean you don't measure? There must be some kind of calibration or calculation how much you give. Then he explained, what I do is that at the end of the month, I calculate all the money that I have earned, profit that I have earned, and I draw a cross on the floor, and I throw all the money that I have onto the sky, and so whatever falls on the cross, I give it to church, and whatever falls outside the cross, I keep it. I do it religiously. Then the Christian and the Hindu devotee asked the Muslim devotee, what is the kind of charity do you do? And he also said something similar. At the end of the month, I calculate all the money that I earned, and I draw a crescent on the floor. Whatever money that I earned, I throw into the sky, and whatever falls on the crescent, I give it to mosque. Whatever falls outside, I keep it. I do it religiously. And the Christian and the Muslim devotee asked the Hindu devotee, what is the kind of charity do you do? Well, I don't have all this cross and crescent business. Then you don't do charity? Of course I do charity. How much you do? I give everything to God. I don't keep anything to myself. You mean you don't keep anything for you? I don't keep 1 cent to myself. I give everything to God. But you seem to be living such an ultra luxury life. You have half a dozen cars, Porsche and Ferrari, and you show off that on the road, etc. And you have palatial mansion. How do you do all this? If you give everything to God, God gives everything that I want. That is interesting, but please explain to me, how do you do that? We like to follow that. And then the Hindu devotee said, at the end of the month, I calculate all the money that I earned. I throw everything to God. And whatever God wants, he takes it. And whatever falls down, I keep it. That is not charity, says Bhagavan Krishna. And then the tamasic charity, he says, charity given at a wrong place and time to an unworthy recipient, without respect, grudgingly, insultingly. You just throw some crumbles at the people just to keep them quiet. That's not it. There must be devotion, bhavana. With insult, that is declared tamasic. Remember, just because you are giving reluctantly, that ceases to be charity. You receive no punya, benefit. The first one, let's go back to the first, that Satwik charity, chapter 17, verse 20. Gift that is obligatory. You and me are obliged to give. Whatever that you can. That is our dharma. That is, dharma means that's our nature. Human being cannot live without giving. So many shastras explained that spirit of charity. Victor Hugo, in his literature, Les Miserables, explains the spirit of charity. John Valjean was a poor woodcutter. He used to take care of his sister's children. They had no resources. So he was a poor woodcutter. And for many, many months, he had no work. He had no job. He was unemployed. And he sees his niece and nephews, children, young children at home, are crying out of starvation. They had no food to eat. And in that desperation, out of that sheer emotional pain, he ventured into breaking the glass of a bakery shop and stole a loaf of bread and attempted to run away. And as he was attempting to run away, people chased him, and the confectioner himself chased him and caught him. And they handed him over to the police for that paltry crime. It is not for crime. He was only trying to get some food for the children. Put him in the prison. And they gave him excruciating treatment in the prison in France. And in the prison, the life was extremely uncomfortable, terrible. And when he think about his children back home who's suffering from starvation, that was added pain. He was really, really tortured. And he couldn't stay in the prison, obviously. And he attempted to escape from the prison. And as he was attempted to escape from the prison, he was caught. Put him back. His prison sentence was extended further. And he was so frustrated, he tried to escape from the prison a second time. He was caught again. And his imprisonment was increased, and he was given 1 month rigorous imprisonment in isolation in a tiny, dingy room. Rigorous imprisonment. And having finished his rigorous imprisonment, he came out of the rigorous imprisonment. He was in the normal prison. Third time he attempted to escape. That was in the process of helping one of the other injured prison mate. He succeeded. He escaped from the prison. And on the cold winter night in France, in Europe, he went from door to door seeking some kind of assistance. He knocked the door to give some food, some warmth, but everybody slammed the door on his face. And he went on. Finally, he knocked the door of an elderly gentleman, very senior, compassionate man. And as the lady of the house opened the door, the elderly gentleman, and she also, by the way, the lady also banged the door at him. And then the elderly man said, "Please let him inside. God sent him. Let him come inside." And the lady let him inside. And John Valjean came into the house. And the person said, "Arrange the guest room for him. He's hungry, he's tired. Prepare some sumptuous meal for him." And the lady prepared some meal, good meal, and prepared guest room, made him have good hot bath, and slept. And as he was having his meal, he was given all the meal in solid silverware. Everything was made of solid silver. And the lady stacked everything in the kitchen, and John Valjean was watching everything. And as everybody was sleeping, about 2 o'clock in the morning, John Valjean got up, went to the kitchen, took a bag, and took out all the silverware and put it in a bag, escaped from this house. Next day, about 8 o'clock, somebody knocked at the door, and the elderly man found 2 policemen brought John Valjean to his house, because John Valjean was carrying silverware that don't belong to him. And the policemen knew that it belonged to this elderly gentleman because they had meal in that house. And as as the elderly man opened the door, he saw John Valjean with 2 policemen. He said, "Oh, brother, you have come back. I was waiting for you. Please come inside." And then the policeman asked the elderly gentleman, "So, do you mean to say what this person is saying is true?" "Yes, what he said is true. You may please leave. You can leave. You may go." And John Valjean couldn't believe the reaction of this elderly man. Not only he gave him accommodation and comfort, and he stole all the silverware and escaped from the house. And as he was standing there, flabbergasted by this benevolent reaction of this elderly gentleman, the old man went to his room and he brought 1 gold candlesticks and gave it to John Valjean and said, "Brother, remember, life is to give, not to take. Life is to give, not to take." And John Valjean was transformed by that benevolent charity. When we give to the right people, obviously the elderly man had the insight to understand this man is not really a convict. Circumstances led him to be. And that transformed the life of John Valjean. And he became a great humanitarian. Many charitable institutions were started by him, by that act of charity. True charity transformed the lives of people. That is giving, Satwik giving. Charitable disposition. We have a criticizing tendency, accusing tendency, blaming tendency. All those are part of charity. Even when somebody makes a mistake in life, even somebody does a blunder, what is our attitude towards them? The spirit of giving, the spirit of charity. When we give with humility and take with gratitude. When you are giving, we need to give with humility. And we need to take from the world also. We take with a deep sense of gratitude. So these 2 attitudes must go with our life, without expecting anything in return. Now, ladies and gentlemen, you may wonder, what do we give? How do we give? And why should we give? First of all, let me answer this question. What do we give? To understand this, we need to analyze in the world. There are 5 levels of poverty in this world. There are 5 types of poverty in this world. The first type of poverty is material poverty. All right? People who don't have food, clothing, shelter, medicine. That is the base level of charity. That is the entry level of charity. That is the lowest level of charity, of course. A lot of people in the world are in need of that, material poverty. Then there is physical poverty. There are people who are physically disabled. They don't have any physical support. They need assistance, right? They need your physical assistance. They may not need your money, but they may not need your time, physical assistance. Then there is emotional charity. There are people, the emotional poverty rather. There are people who have money, who have support, who have everything, but they feel lonely inside because they are alone. There are many elderly people, many old age homes. In and around your city, you'll find senior people, elderly people. Children have abandoned them. Despite the parents sacrificing everything for the children, every single cent that they earned, they did not save anything for their future. They put all those money for the children's education. And when the children grow, get married, and they got a job, they abandon the parents in the old age home, and they feel lonely. Emotional poverty. Then there is intellectual poverty. That is people, young and old, who don't have education. Children particularly are not capable of pursuing education because they don't have the resources. Elderly people who are not educated, they may need certain intellectual skills. It could be a legal assistance or engineering assistance or whatever it is. That is intellectual charity. That is intellectual poverty rather. And the worst form of poverty is moral poverty. South Africa and many other countries, specifically South Africa, is in the clutch of moral poverty. Corruptions that is rampant in this country. Many crimes, robbery, rape, abuse of women, today being Women's Day. All these that are happening in the society, in the families, are because we are suffering from moral poverty. The society is shortage of spiritual values, moral values. So the 5 levels of poverty: material poverty, physical poverty, emotional poverty, intellectual poverty, and the worst is the moral poverty. So we need to contribute in all these 5 areas. Unfortunately, today, most people, vast majority of the people who do charity, they only do the first level of charity. They give food, clothing, medicine, shelter to poor people because that is perceptible. Of course, we need to do that, no doubt. But a lot of people do that charity and stop with that. That is why Bible says, men do not live with bread alone. When Bible says men do not live with bread alone, doesn't mean that they need butter also. And that's not what it means. There are more deeper human needs. We don't consider that. So in order to address these 5 levels of poverty, Bhagavad Gita talks to us. That is the 4th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, the 28th verse of the 4th chapter explains to us how or what do we give. Chapter 4, verse 28.
Dravya yajnastapo yajnaha yoga yajnastata pare swadhyaya jnana yajnascha yatayat samshita vrataha.
It says 4 types of yajna, charity. Yajna means sacrifice, charity. And what are they? Dravya yajna, tapo yajna, yoga yajna, and swadhyaya jnana yajna. Yet others again offer wealth as sacrifice, austerity, physical labor as sacrifice, yoga as sacrifice, and yoga means spiritual, all right? And ascetics of rigid vows offer study and wisdom as sacrifice. 4 levels of charity that he talks about. First of all, dravya. Dravya in Sanskrit means material wealth, material objects. There are a lot of people who need your assistance with your money so that they can get food, basics. They can get basic clothing, shelter, medicine, who are sick. And all of those cater to the physical body. That's a basic need. That is called dravya yajna. So you do the charity, but don't stop with that. A lot of people do that. There are many institutions do this. But then they do it, but they don't look beyond. They don't look the other people who need the other levels of charity. The second is tapo yajna, that is physical labor. If you can afford it, to give money is not difficult. But to take a few days off and go to a charitable institution, a hospital that's run on charity, or an orphanage, or many institutions that are charitable, you go there and help those people physically. That requires much deeper levels of charity. A lot of people do write check, give money, and they gloat about, oh, I do a lot of charity. Yes, you do a lot of charity, but that's only the base level. But how much of higher levels of charity do? You got to ask that question. Tapo yajna, physical. I've known people. They actually give, in the middle of the night in Delhi, northern India, as you know, cold winter. A lot of poor people sleeping on the footpath, on the roadsides, no shelter. So she buys quality blankets, load the car boot with the driver. When people are sleeping in the midnight, she covers the people who are sleeping with a brand new blanket. Next day, when they wake up, they see they are covered with brand new blanket. No recognition, not even a thank you is asked for. There are other people who do annadanam, food. They cook the food on their own. They spend hours together rolling the rotis, and they go take the food and hand it over. Despite they have probably 3 or 4 servants, domestic assistants at home, they have drivers, but they don't tell the driver to take it. They do it physically themselves. That requires more sacrifice. Tapo yajna. And yoga yajna is emotional service. Yoga yajna is of 2 types. That is emotional and intellectual poverty you can overcome. There are people who needs your love and attention, not only your family members, other people. To give love is difficult. To give money is easy. To give time is easy. To give love unconditionally, to love somebody who's a destitute without expecting anything in return is difficult indeed. There are many people who goes to state hospitals and they identified poor people who are orphans, bedridden for months together. State hospitals provide them basic medicine, etc. You know how the state hospitals here is. They give them the basic routine food, etc. But they did not receive love and affection for months because they are orphans. And they go and find such people, sit with them, spend a whole day taking care of them and give them unconditional, pure affection that touches their heart. Yoga yajna. There are the people who need that kind of emotional service. In fact, by the way, yesterday we spoke about the power of emotional mastery. If any one of you missed it, they are available in our YouTube channel. You can catch all the sessions will be available, and also make sure that you subscribe to this channel, because we'll be uploading videos every now and then. There'll be sessions not only in Durban, other parts of the world on various topics. So we'll be uploading some of these sessions. Some of them are business seminars, leadership workshops, youth development workshops, etc. We'll be uploading. So you will get a chance to watch them. And don't forget to ring the bell. Just understand it as ringing the bell of the temple. So subscribe to those. My technical director told me that when they did the analytics, only about 35% of the people who are attending have actually subscribed to the channel. So before you leave today, please subscribe to the channel in your own interest. All right. It only takes less than 5 seconds for you to click that subscribe button before you leave, so that you'll get notified. All right. So yesterday's topic on emotional mastery, and it is been uploaded already. All right. And subscribe to the channel and visit the website lifemastery.vision. All right. And I've been asked to suggest you, those who want to make a donation to the Life Mastery Foundation, you can do so through the website. There is a link called donation, or you can send an email. We can send you the banking details if you wish to do so. All right. So they are also available. So emotional mastery. A lot of people don't have that emotional, they still feel a sense of loneliness. And intellectual poverty. There are a lot of people, after they cross 60, they are retired, and still they have a lot of ability, life left in them. And what do? They stay at home. Every couple of months or so, they go for a holiday to a different city, and that's it. Don't allow your skill to die with you. Impart it to the other people. There are children who need your experiences, school children, who need your experiences, your knowledge. You can do tuition or whatever it is. Intellectual poverty you can overcome by contributing. It only takes probably a few weeks a few hours in a week for you to do that. We're not asking to do that as a full-time job. Maybe a few weeks in a year, in a week, you can go to. There are college students who need tuition, school students who need tuition, and you have the knowledge, but you allow that to die away. In fact, if you look at our own physical organs that are valuable, we allow it to die away with our body when we are cremated. But the skills you can impart, and today being technology what it is today, you can do all those living in the comfort of your lounge. Intellectual seva, give it. Nobody has ever become poor by giving. I repeat, nobody in the world has ever become poor by giving. Only those people who accumulated, aggrandized without an iota of charitable disposition, only they became poor. Many of them, as they grow older, suffer from all kinds of illness and diseases, and many of them are caught in the prison, etc. Only because charity blossoms your personality. Charitable disposition create an aura around you. And then the fourth kind of charity, he says, swadhyaya jnana yajna. Swadhyaya. The best form of charity is the moral charity, to overcome the moral poverty. That is where the spiritual development comes, ladies and gentlemen. When you spend time to make yourself a better person, when you make yourself a better human being, your presence will make an impact to your family. Your self-transformation, making yourself a better person, will impact your family. If your family is impacted, chances are you can impact your extended community or family. And then you can impact the society. So the change starts with yourself. Swa-adhyaya. You may wonder, if it is one's own spiritual development, isn't that selfishness? How can one spiritual development be charity? If you don't understand this, take statistics. There are scores of great sages and saints. They just realized, God realized, evolved spiritually, and they lived their life. Millions upon millions of people flocked to them for spiritual development. They don't go around the world teaching. They just stay where they are. Ramana Maharishi, Satya Sai Baba, Shirdi Sai Baba, they're all examples of people who evolved spiritually and people flock to them. That is what happens. Those people who evolve spiritually, they spread social consciousness. There is a difference between social service and social consciousness. When we study the Bhagavad Gita, what are we doing? We are trying to spread social consciousness so that more people think charitably. When a society is full of people who think about the welfare of everybody, that, ladies and gentlemen, is an ideal society. When in a society that we are living, everybody is thinking about himself or herself only, such a society will degrade. Similarly, a business. In a business, let's say there are 100,000 or 10,000 or whatever number of employees working. If those number of employees are always thinking in terms of oneself, what can I get from this organization? Sooner or later, that organization will deteriorate and will become bankrupt. But in the same organization, if all the employees are thinking in terms of what value can I add to the organization, what can I contribute to the organization, you will find that organization flourishing. Martin Luther King said, don't think what your country can do for you, think what you can do for the country. That is social consciousness. Today, a lot of people do social service, but very few people spread social consciousness. That is where spiritual institutions come in. They empower, educate people on fundamental human values that without those, they make them understand that you got to think in terms of the welfare of everybody. That is social consciousness. That is represented by Swadhyaya Jnana Yajna, the fourth type of charity. Now, what do we give? You might wonder, why should we give? If the other people can't take care of themselves, why should we give? We need to give because we have taken. Anything, whatever that we have received. Remember, let's look at the money. The money that we possess, part of it don't belong to us. After tax, I'm talking about. And if we don't become charitable, the nature has a way of taking that from you. You will have to pay, maybe through doctors or lawyers or some way or the other. Because that's the law of life. I'm not scaring you. I'm not putting fear into you. I'm only enunciating the law. That what we have, when we get blessings in terms of money or whatever it is, don't think straight away in terms of increasing your standard of living. Think in terms of increasing your standard of giving. But today what happens is, when we receive any kind of blessing, we straight away think in terms of improving our standard of living rather than improving the standard of giving. The spirit of charitable disposition. We have received from the time we are born, we have been taking from the world. There are so many resources which money cannot buy, we have received. Because we have received so much, we got to think in terms of giving. And when you give, when you become charitable, it enhances our self-esteem. When we give, you feel on top of the world. You feel a sense of control over yourself. When you give, you feel a sense of control over your finances. When we give, we experience abundance mentality. When we are selfish, we experience scarcity mentality. You can have all the money in the world and you could experience a scarcity mentality. That is, I don't have enough. And yet, a person can have very little, but because that person is charitable, giving, that person can feel a sense of abundance. I have plenty in the world. He never feels insecure in life. That is what happens when we develop a spirit of giving. That is why, I was speaking on a Shastra called Purusha Suktam. That is a Vedic literature. The central theme of Purusha Suktam is yajna, charity. The whole universe revolves around a spirit of giving. Look at sun, look at moon, look at trees, look at cows, look at rivers. The whole nature live the spirit of giving. The trees bear fruit, not because the tree wants it. Rivers carry water, not because rivers needs it. The cows bear milk, not because the calf needs it. It's produced more than what the calf needs. The wind blows for the benefit of everybody. It carries everything. There's a lot of seva, lot of service. When the wind blows, there is cross-pollination. Many things happens. The whole universe, animals, plants put together. The four kingdom, mineral kingdom, vegetable kingdom, animal kingdom, and the human kingdom. Mineral kingdom merely exists. Vegetable kingdom, animal kingdom, if you see, their very existence itself becomes a yajna, a service. Only a human being live at the expense of nature, at the expense of the world. If you are constantly taking, we remain agitated. Therefore, we should develop a spirit of giving. And when we give, the problem is when we give, we cannot give, it comes back to us. It makes you rich in every sense of the term. It makes you rich internally and materially as well. It comes back to us. But don't give because you want it to come back to us. We learned the lesson from nature. Did you ever wonder? I'm sure you did. Perhaps you must have learned it in the school. Why does an object appear the color what it is? If I were to hold a rose flower in front of you, why does this rose color appears the color it is, rose or red? Because it gives away red. You know physics. In white light, there are 7 colors, vibrionic colors: violet, indigo, blue, green, yellow, orange, red. Out of these 7 colors, when the white light strikes a red object, it reflects red and absorbs all the other colors. A blue object appears blue because when the white light strikes the object, it reflects blue and absorbs all the other colors. This is the law of nature. Whatever it gives away, it possesses. We are rich by what we give. And then, by the way, it helps us to grow spiritually. Because the attitude of giving. Now, how do we develop the spirit of giving? What method can we adopt? What we need to do, ladies and gentlemen, is this. When you wake up in the morning, next 30 days, do this exercise that I'm going to tell you. That is, every single day, next 30 days, write down 5 blessings that you enjoy, which money cannot buy. Blessings that money cannot buy. Don't say, I got a beautiful car, I got a beautiful house, etc. If you think blessings means car and house and wife, etc., you don't know what blessings are. There are many things that money cannot buy. Simple things like if your kidney is functioning properly. Do you know kidney, a simple organ, who gave that intelligence to kidney to sense, to register? If there is sugar, it induces insulin. If there is a shortage of sugar, it produces glucagon. Pancreas. What am I saying? Pancreas, all right? So who gave that intelligence to pancreas and to kidney to filter the excess salt? Doctor told me our blood has got same amount of salt as the sea water. And kidney has that intelligence. That is a blessing that money cannot buy. Our heart, it's such a fantastic engineering. Heart is the only function, organ. Even if it's taken out of the body, it still functions. I can multiply examples. Write down 5 blessings that you have tomorrow. Write down, which money cannot buy. Do the same thing day after tomorrow. Every day. Don't repeat the same thing that you wrote previous day. Write down and go back and read through it. My God, so many blessings. And as time goes, you'll find it difficult to write because you really need to search your soul, the blessings that you have. So what do we need to do is that count your blessings. Think of all the blessings that you have and thank the providence. Think and thank. Think of the blessings and thank the providence. There seems to be an unseen, unknown intelligence who beautifully orchestrates the entire universe, who intelligently makes sure that our physical body is functioning so well, so properly. To that intelligence, my salutation, my surrender. You can call God, you can call Hanuman, you can call Allah, you can call Father in heaven, you call what name that you want. But the truth is that, ladies and gentlemen, there is such supreme intelligence beautifully orchestrates this entire phenomena. Express the gratitude. So awareness of blessings. When you acutely become aware by writing it down, you develop a spirit of gratitude. When you develop an attitude of gratitude without you knowing, unconsciously, subconsciously, you begin to live a life of giving. You will never ever complain about shortage of resources. You will never complain about one day if you don't have the food according to your taste or temperament. That very moment we stop complaining, and then everything that we do, we want to do because we want to give it back. Charity is an attitude. Anything that we do, wishing blessings. When you're walking in the shopping mall and you find another person coming across in the other direction, you may not know the person, all right? When you pass by, can you send a thought of blessings to him? Just a simple blessing. You don't need to know the person for a bar of soap. You don't know him at all or her. Simply send a blessings. But what do? Sometimes we look at the people and think, oh, he walks as if he ruled the world. He's very arrogant. Why should we? Who are we to judge? By doing so, you will make yourself miserable. Instead, may he be blessed. May she be happy. May she be successful. By wishing blessings to the other people, we lose nothing. If at all, we gain. I repeat, by spreading blessings to the other people, we only benefit. We lose nothing. Maintain a charitable disposition. So, 3 steps to begin a life of charity. That is awareness of blessings, awareness of provision, And then your mind will get saturated with the spirit of gratitude. Our mind will get saturated with the spirit of thankfulness. Without gratitude, it is an atrocious crime. Ingratitude more strong than traitor's arms quite vanquished him, said Shakespeare in Julius Caesar. Mahabharata says, you can have expiation for killing a Brahmin, a man. You can have expiation for cutting down a tree, but you have no expiation for ingratitude. Ingratitude is the worst form of crime. So awareness of blessing, let our mind get saturated with the spirit of gratitude. Thereafter, anything that we do, we keep other people in mind. If you're running a business, keep your customers in mind, your employees in mind, your suppliers in mind, your investors in mind. And then money will be taken care of. That is the spirit of giving. Thereafter, you are on top of the world. Nothing in the world affects you. Life becomes meaningful to live thereafter. It becomes worthy of living. Even certain times when things are bad, you will not emotionally suffer. You will recognize there is challenging time, but you will experience a great sense of security. At the same time, you will have the emotional equanimity, in emotional stability, also intellectual clarity, when our mind is saturated with the spirit of gratitude. That is the topic, the joy of giving. So tomorrow we continue the discussion at the same place, same time. All right. So those of you who want to reach us in whatever that you want to know, please visit our website or email us Life Mastery Foundation. So lifemastery.vision, info@lifemastery.vision, and we could respond to you. All right. Before I hand over to our MC Thrusha, we'll conclude with the Shanti part. Om Purnamata Purnamitam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamataya Purnamevavasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Thank you. Don't be impatient. Don't go away. Wait for a couple of minutes more, please.
Yet another life-changing discourse. A reminder to those who would like to show their gratitude to Sri Angajan for these invaluable discourses with Guru Dakshina, please click on the link in the description box below. You can also make a donation via PayPal. It's angajan10@gmail.com, or you can email us on info@lifemastery.vision, or call 083 550 3634 to request banking details should you prefer to do an EFT. Your contribution will be used for further dissemination of spiritual knowledge. We fulfill that obligation so that the flow of this knowledge can be maintained for future generations as well. From one-on-one personal coaching to youth empowerment workshops, marital and parenting workshops, to 5-day public lecture series, Sri Angajan is committed to imparting life-changing information for better living. Our thanks goes out to the Amshlanga Hindu Society, Gujarati Hindu Sanskriti Kendra, Sri Gopal Hindu Temple, Vishwaroop Temple, and Dharmashala for joining us. If you enjoy Sri Angajan's teachings, we have books, audio CDs, and DVDs that are available for purchase. From Gods to Godheads is one of the books I keep on hand, which beautifully explains the meaning and purpose of Hindu gods, rituals, and festivals. Spiritual Laws of Self-Motivation and Success, Spiritual Laws for Harmony in Marriage, The Art of Successful Parenting are some of my other favorite audio CDs. So to view the full list of CDs and DVDs, please visit www.lifemastery.vision. You can also connect to the foundation via Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Also, don't forget to join us on YouTube on the 12th of August at 7 p.m. for Krishna Janmashtami. See you tomorrow, same time, 7 p.m. to 8:15 p.m. on YouTube. Have a wonderful evening.